Hello, my name is Nicole Garcia Miranda, and my partner is William Rivera Garcia. We are graduate students from the Polytechnic University of Puerto Rico, and we will be discussing a current policy problem that may present a threat to society's safety and freedom. Facial recognition technology. Is it a friend or a foe? During this presentation, we will provide a description of facial recognition technology, how facial recognition technology is being used, and the issues that arise from the use of facial recognition technology. We will also discuss what the community thinks about facial recognition technology and how it is influenced. Then, we will talk about how the facial recognition technology is being approached by the United States government and finalize with a conclusion.
Facial recognition technology is a computer-based system that uses biometrics with a complex algorithm to map the facial features of the human face. It collects information from pictures, recordings, or real-time footage. These details, such as the distance between the eyes, nose, mouth, or jaw, are then converted into a mathematical representation and compared to data on other faces collected in a face recognition database. The data about a particular face is often called a face template and is distinct from a photograph because it is designed to only include certain details that can be used to distinguish one face from another.
As the technology keeps moving forward, more companies are looking into possible applications to utilize facial recognition technology within their industry. Social media applications uses biometrics to provide its users with filters. They also use it to match pictures with profiles. Cell phone manufacturers such as Apple have implemented facial recognition technology into its own devices as a security measure to unlock the device. Campaigns for marketing and campaigns for advertising both use facial recognition technology to target specific groups of people by age, gender, and ethnicity. Some colleges have implemented facial recognition technology into its online courses for taking assessments and exams. The technology compares the user in front of the camera with the ID on file for the student. Police departments use facial recognition technology in a variety of ways. Mugshots taken are directly inserted into a database for future references. State driver's license pictures are also inserted into databases. Police officers can carry webcams in their vests and vehicles to assist in rapid identification of individuals. High-traffic areas such as airports use facial recognition technology to their advantage in multiple areas. Department of Homeland Security uses it to identify personnel and possible threats. Airlines are replacing boarding passes with biometrics in an effort to reduce wait time in security lines.
Many of the issues that we have regarding facial recognition stems from the fact that it is a new technology, and therefore there is no real legislation or a regulatory framework to make sure that it is not being abused. Another issue we have with this technology is knowing who is controlling it, being the government or someone else. They will basically have the ability to monitor everyone in the world without you even knowing it. It basically ties to a social concern because agencies could have your facial data and they could even track you without your consent, and your personal safety and security will be compromised while losing the freedom to remain anonymous. Facial recognition technology is not an exact science, and many different factors contribute to this conclusion. The National Institute of Standards and Technologies has identified that the origin of the different vendors of facial recognition technologies have a high influence on the system capacity to accurately identify race, gender, and other demographics. These technologies developed in East Asia can more accurately identify an Asian facial characteristic rather than a Caucasian, opposed to facial recognition technologies developed in the United States, France, or Germany, which work far better in recognizing Caucasian facial characteristics. This is due to when developing the facial recognition technology, the tests and trials conducted are based on the racial makeup of the location of its creations. Other issues about this technology is on how they depend on conditions of the video or the photography to properly identify an individual. Factors such as lighting, image quality resolution, and angle of the camera all contribute to positively identifying an individual. Also, studies have shown that the face recognition technology struggles in accurately identifying people of color, which can lead to possible false positives. When searching for facial markers on a facial recognition technology database, the results can yield a positive match, a false negative, or a false positive. A false positive result can be of great concern given the possibility of misidentifying an individual that leads to a wrongful conviction.
A national online poll was conducted by the Center for Data Innovation. Sample size used of 3,151 American adult Internet users who were asked if the government should restrict the use of facial recognition technology. Users answered, and 26%, 1 in 4 Americans, agreed that the government should strictly limit the use of this technology. Nearly 45% disagreed, and 29% remained neutral to this question. Now, the same question was asked, but the users were provided with more information of what the facial recognition technology could do. For example, should government strictly limit the use of facial recognition technology, even if it means stores can't use it to reduce shoplifting? 24% of the individuals agreed. This is 2% less than the previous chart, and 49% disagreed, which is a 4% increase on people who do not want the government to limit this technology. Same question with different circumstance. Should the government strictly limit the use of facial recognition technology, even if it means airports can't use it to speed up security lines? The percentage of agree responses dropped from a 24% to a 20%, and the disagree responses increased from a 49% to a 54%. Finally, the public was asked the same question with a different factor. Should the government strictly limit the use of facial recognition technology, even if it comes at the expense of public safety? The agree responses dropped from a 20% to an 18%, and the disagree responses increased from a 54% to a 55%. As you can see, the percentage of agree responses have been reducing every time a different factor is shown to the customers. Therefore, this data means that once the public knows the benefits of facial recognition technology, they are prone to show less resistance into limiting the use of facial recognition technology. It also suggests that the public is not very clear of all the pros and cons facial recognition technology can present to our community.
These concerns and issues have not been ignored by the government entities, as is the case with the Commercial Facial Recognition Privacy Act of 2019, which establishes to prohibit entities from using facial recognition technology to identify or track an end user without obtaining the affirmative consent and for other purposes. It was introduced on March 14, 2019 by Senator Roy Blunt from Missouri and co-sponsored by Senator Brian Schatz from Hawaii. This act has been reviewed on 2 occasions since published and referred to the Committee of Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Legally, this act will require the Senate to review, approve, and pass to the House of Representatives, which will also review, approve, and then pass to the President for signature and officially become a bill. Meanwhile, the United States Chamber of Commerce released policy principles for facial recognition technology in December 9 of 2019 as a guide for policymakers to consider the legislative proposals regarding to the development and utilization of facial recognition technology. This policy principle seeks to highlight the risk associated with the facial recognition technology along with the benefits to the public and consumers. These principles outline specific aspects that are broken down into further requirements that apply to the commercial and government entities alike. The first principle outlines to prioritize the transparent use of the technology given government and commercial entities which disclose when and what circumstances the facial recognition technology will be used. The second principle outlines how to protect privacy and personal data, while keeping in mind that facial recognition data should be handled safely and secured to protect an individual's privacy. The third principle encompasses the development of appropriate regulatory framework that promotes innovation, civil liberties, and human rights. This principle breaks down into promoting the beneficial use of facial recognition technology while mitigating the risk associated with the technology. Under the third principle, it also seeks to pursue a risk-based and use case-specific regulatory approach in a call to avoid a generalization of the use of facial recognition technology. Lastly, the third principle includes to establish a single national governance and regulatory framework avoiding conflict between levels. The fourth and last general principle promotes accountability and consistency through appropriate standards and testing. This principle breaks down into the support of the development of risk-based performance standards with industry-driven consensus-based standards. The last principle ensures federal investments in testing and benchmarking, requiring entities that after standards are set, they follow them accordingly, since they are important to gain the public's trust in the technology. As facial recognition technology keeps growing, it is clear that it could be a powerful tool for safety and security. But as we take all these benefits into consideration, the privacy concerns need to be addressed to make sure that it is not being abused. Thank you.